All right, we've got a special episode tonight. We've got Bigtree with us. He's an award-winning producer, a filmmaker, investigative medical journalist. He's the host of HighWire, and he helped produce Vaxxed, from Cover Up to Catastrophe. I think most of you have heard of that movie. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, Del.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been we've been talking about doing another one of these shows for a long time, and it seems like the timing is actually pretty good because I feel like it's ramping up a little bit on both sides. I feel like there's a bunch of people. I just read an article today that there's less people getting vaccinated in some areas, and
state of emergency,
and yet there's also a huge pushback from the mainstream media. Of course, I mean attacking yourself and other people. Anti-vaxxers, labeling anybody that doesn't, believe in that extreme vaccination to be an anti-vax and all that, just like they label us in other ways.
Yeah, I mean, how dare we question the pharmaceutical industry? They've been so forthcoming throughout,
yeah, exactly.
all the centuries they've been in our lives, Yeah, I mean, right there, anti-vaxxer, the fact that
you're frozen
group,
up.
everybody one category. It's a very, very diverse group coming from different directions, different places. And I think the thing that they don't want to talk about is it's really the body of the movement is ex-vaxxers, people who profoundly believed in vaccines, and then either their child was injured or they were injured, and they've shifted.
Yeah, I wanted to before we get to it, I did wanted to thank you because it is it's not a fun position to take. We've got a relatively small audience compared to the things like people like you and Ty and Andrew, and it's not a fun. I mean, I've made the mistake of commenting on like a CBC fucking article or something like that, and then all of a sudden you log back in a couple minutes later. This was before I deleted my Facebook account. And, you log back in and people are calling you every name in the book because, you stated some fact. And it's like, you guys must be seeing that on a hyper level. And I just, I commend you guys for being able to put up with that because it's not a fun topic to argue about.
Yeah, I guess I would. I don't feel like I had a choice when I got involved in this. I felt like in some ways, I feel like it was predestined that this was what I was supposed to do. I had a wild ride of trying to become a filmmaker and coming to Hollywood and selling screenplays, and somehow, backed my way into this medical talk show called The Doctors, and then ended up producing that. I won an Emmy Award. And, I remember sitting at my desk and reading medical journals for the next story I was going to do, and laughing and thinking, if I could go back and visit my 18-year-old self and say, in your future, you're going to be reading medical journals, I probably would have died laughing. But then, I really enjoyed working on that show and, investigating great science, great medicine, great doctors. I mean, it was a really, the show is called The Doctors on CBS, and I got to find like the cutting edge surgeon in the world on some issue, and somebody that really needed, had a rare problem that only this one doctor could fix, and then bring them together, and he'd donate the surgery or the procedure. And, it was like this Santa Claus job, really, where you just change people's lives. It was really great. And I say that because a lot of times people will say I'm anti-science because I dare to question vaccines. The truth is I'm absolutely pro-science, but science has changed. I mean, and I thought it was only vaccines, and we won't get deep into it. But when you go really as a journalist and you really only focus on one story like I have, which is vaccines, you start recognizing that there's other issues that are using the same playbook.
Yep.
But, so I was working on this talk show, and then I stumbled upon a story, like any good journalist, of a whistleblower at the CDC who was saying that they were committing scientific fraud on the measles, mumps, rubella vaccine studies, and they know it causes autism. And I was like, whoa, what's happening here? And just by a set of either extreme coincidences or miracles or whatever however you want to put it, I found myself down in Austin, Texas, looking at 10,000 documents that this scientist had come forward with from the CDC, one of our leading scientists, proving that they'd committed scientific fraud. And in 2000 to 2004, they covered up a study that had shown that the MMR vaccine indeed increases your risk of autism. And there was something about that moment that, the failed movie career that turned into a medical journalist, producer, Emmy-winning career, all of a sudden, all of it started making sense. And then I think there's this added factor where my father was a very motivational minister, and that part of it, I do so much public speaking now that I guess you kind of turn into your parents a little bit, but all of those things came together for what's turning out to be a very unique experience. And to your point, yes, we come under a lot of attack, and it really isn't. It doesn't bother you that you're being attacked. What's bothersome is how incredibly, how I want to say gullible, or how misled the population is. That to hear the vitriol happening in Washington over 30 people with measles. I mean, 30. Let's think about this. They've declared a state of emergency because 30 people, most of them from like the same church that don't vaccinate, are having 4 days of a rash and a fever, and they're going to be just fine. And that over dramatization, that sense that that sensation they're creating around that, and the fact that regular citizens in America are buying into it, you start to wonder what chance we have if we're that easily manipulated. And to see the science I've seen, to spend 3 years reading all the studies when your pediatrician's saying, oh, vaccines are safe. They've never read them. They just heard in school that there are thousands of studies that said that vaccines don't cause autism, vaccines don't cause multiple sclerosis, they're safe, they're effective, they're safe and effective. Science is settled, this is settled. Well, I've been reading things, and to know the truth and see the lies that people are regurgitating back at each other, it's more of just a frustration than being upset. I get why pharma is calling me names. I get why the news media that is funded by pharma is calling me names. I'm just shocked at how incredibly desperate and terrified what I once thought were an intelligent modern society that we could find ourselves in this position.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they're waiting for the perfect opportunity here. It's like all of a sudden this measles outbreak, and they're saying it's a perfect example of how parents put their own kids at risk. I mean, they're really using this as a prime example to talk about all these anti-vaxxers here, and out of 35 cases, 31 of them haven't vaccinated. I mean,
but it's like what is the current in your opinion, because Google's not going to give me a real answer, what would you say the current the death rate of measles in a first world country would be?
Well, let's just, so everything that I talked about, on my show, the HighWire, which people can watch on YouTube or Facebook or all over the internet, I never quote anything that isn't actually published science.
Yeah.
We have no way of really knowing what the current rate of measles would be. What we know is, in the last 10 or 15 years, there's been maybe one death from all the outbreaks that have been hyped from Disneyland and the rest, and that's an immunosuppressed, cancer patient that was not healthy. But the numbers that the CDC has on its own website are this. Before there was ever a vaccine for measles, it killed 1 in 500,000 Americans. So just do the math on that. That's like 0.000001% of society ever died from measles. Now, they'll tell you the number you'll hear is it's like 1 to 2 per thousand die. And so that's the type of thing I investigate. Like, where are they coming up? How is it on CNN they're saying 1 to 2 out of 1,000? And by the way, 1 to 2 is an 100% increase.
That's a double.
They
They're doubling
They
it.
literally double it. Like as though it's 1 or 2. Well, which is it? Because we were talking about a massive difference. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But you go to the website, you look at the CDC, you look at the historical records, and what it says is it was one out of every there's like usually about 10,000 reported cases or so, or based on the numbers. On the reported cases, it would be 1 in 1,000. But what they said was nobody used to report it because it was such a trivial childhood illness. Their assumptions are that it was about 5 million people per year in America would get the measles, and 500 of the very sick would die. And so that's 1 in 10,000. It's not 1 in 1,000. It's 1 in 1,000. It's not one. Hold on, let me get my numbers right here. 500 out of 5 million is 1 in 10,000. That's the actual number of deaths. And if you think about it, 1 in 10,000 is exactly the same number at that time that autism was. And
Yep.
we say 1 in 10,000. What that really means is pretty much zero, non-existent. Autism was almost non-existent in the 1960s. Then we have a measles vaccine, and we say that we've eradicated measles and people aren't going to die anymore at the 1 in 10,000 rate. And over the years, our autism rate has climbed from that 1 in 10,000 to now 1 in 32 children in America is being diagnosed with autism, and somewhere in the neighborhood of 1 in 22 to 24 boys. And so you got to ask yourself, all the media, I mean, it's not just Washington, CNN, like national news stations are screaming, Black Plague over 30 people with this trivial childhood illness up in Washington, like the end of the world is coming, yet not a single report on the fact that the autism has officially increased to 1 in 32.
Yeah.
And
Is that like 1,000,000%?
that's crazy. That's an outrageous number. And that's a lifelong debilitating illness that changes your life forever.
Now,
And
isn't there
cares.
also a number of deaths from vaccines as well? I mean, I've heard people mentioning that.
Yes. Well, I mean, and that's the thing. When I travel around the country, people will say they believe that they're perfectly safe. They're being sold this bumper sticker slogan that vaccines are safe. They're safe. I just saw a CNN report. No, I think it was like Good Morning America. And they're like, you're putting everybody at risk by not vaccinating, and the science is in, vaccines are safe. Well, that's probably my greatest work is we've essentially proven that's not true.
Yeah.
Through the last 2 years, we challenged Health and Human Services. We put together a 37-page document that laid out everything from the fact that there's never been a single safety study of the childhood vaccines we inject into our children. What I mean by that is they have never done a trial for a vaccine where they compared it to a placebo, which is the only way to actually determine safety. You can talk to the top scientists that are yammering at you from the CDC, HHS, but if you really beat around the bush with them long enough, they will finally have to admit to you, well, you're right, to actually know the amount of injuries or to know if it's safe, we would need a placebo control study, but don't do it. And they say do is because it would be unethical to do a safety study. And maybe you've heard your doctor say that. Sometimes they'll just be totally out of it and say, no, they do placebo studies. They're proven safe. If they're educated, they'll say, well, no, we can't do a safety study because it'd be unethical. What that means is they have this religious belief that vaccines are so fantastic, even a brand new one that, is trying to do something we've never done before, like cure cancer. When you look at the HPV vaccine, Gardasil, when that was going through trials, that should have been tested against a placebo, an inert placebo. But what they're saying is we believe this vaccine is going to be so great for society that we don't want to have a group of girls that just received the placebo while the others are getting the vaccine. That would just be morally wrong.
Wow.
Instead, it's morally correct to take the vaccine filled with some of the most dangerous amounts and forms of aluminum ever injected into the body, and a multitude of other, polysorbate 80 and, animal proteins, and you name it. It's a cocktail. It's like any drug. I mean, it's just like can you imagine having a drug come on the market that's never existed before and them saying, we didn't test it for safety because it'd be unethical, and balance that with drugs. Now, we know that cancer patients who are dying, plead and beg, please just let me have that trial drug. I'm going to die. I want to try it. What difference does it make? And we say no. The FDA says absolutely not. We have to uphold the standard and make sure it's safe for you, even though you're dying of AIDS or cancer. Yet they use the opposite point when we're giving a product to a perfectly healthy child who has no problems whatsoever, who is living on the planet just like we were designed, who never really thought that HPV was an issue. And their parents and their grandparents had never had a vaccine for HPV ever and lived to be, 80 years old.
Yeah.
So it's just insane. So let's talk about the numbers. How many people actually are dying from vaccines? The way I address this topic when I go and talk to politicians is I always start the conversation out the same way. I say, would you mandate penicillin on every single citizen that gets an infection? And most of them are educated enough to say, well, of course not. And I say, well, why? And I say, well, because some people are allergic to penicillin and they could die. Oh, okay, very interesting. You do recognize that a vaccine is a pharmaceutical product just like penicillin. In fact, it has live wild viruses in it and bacteria in it, and aluminum and mercury and formaldehyde. So, you have to imagine that whatever you think of vaccines, we've actually never found a single substance we can inject into people where someone's going to have an allergic reaction. In fact, I'll take it one step further. We can't find a piece of food on this planet that everybody in a gymnasium could eat where someone's not going to have an allergic reaction to it. So I'm not here to discuss whether or not vaccines injure and kill. I'm here to discuss how many are we injuring and killing. And what is your threshold?
Yeah.
Because you must accept that a mandatory vaccine program in your state, in your country, is killing innocent children. There are innocent children who could have gone on to be president of the United States, maybe the next great scientist to find a new way to deal with infectious disease. They're going to be dead because of a vaccine. That's a fact. And the numbers, and when we start looking, our challenge with Health and Human Services and the National Institute of Health was, how do you know what the numbers are? What is the data collection? How is the data being collected? Because you have to imagine, if we are not doing safety studies on 16 vaccines given in 72 doses to our children by the time they're 18, then how do we know if a new vaccine actually is dangerous? If we didn't test it, and suddenly we're giving it to millions of children or teenagers in the case of Gardasil, what surveillance systems in place to capture if there's actually girls being killed or harmed? I mean, right now, the greatest surveillance system is YouTube. Unfortunately, if you go to YouTube and you punch in Gardasil injury, you'll see tens of thousands of girls who have been crippled by the vaccine, that have died from the vaccine, that are having ovarian failure from the vaccine, that are having syncope, they're passing out and falling downstairs. I have a relative, a niece that's going through that. And so why is it that the medical establishment is able to say to us, Gardasil is perfectly safe, and not only should every girl get it, every boy should now get it too? Well, that's a problem. And so let's talk about the only surveillance system there really is to try and get to the numbers, all right?
Mm-hmm.
The only surveillance system that exists in America is called VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System. And in 2016, so this is the system by which if you go to your doctor, they give your baby a vaccine, and that afternoon your baby starts having seizures into the night, then you're supposed to go back to your doctor and say, my baby's having seizures from the vaccine. And then the doctor will put that on VAERS and say, I gave them the DTaP vaccine or the 7 vaccines we gave them today, list them out. And in fact, even on the insert wrapped around the vaccine that arrives, it says, if there's a reaction, any reaction at all, post it to VAERS so we can collect data and study it. VAERS in 2016, which is the last year we really looked at all the numbers. So in 1 year in America alone, VAERS reported 59,711 reported vaccine injuries. 432 of those were deaths, 10,000 emergency room visits, and all sorts of other things that you can search into that. But I think 432 deaths is higher than most people would expect.
Yep.
I don't think we knew we were killing 432 people a year with vaccines, which, by the way, is about how many people were dying from measles in the 1960s when millions of people would get measles, a trivial childhood illness. So have we just traded it off? You say, well, then it's a trade. I would say right there you can tell that the risk reward it's a toss up.
Yeah.
It's a toss up whether you want the vaccine or you want, and risk death from measles itself, the vaccine itself. Except that there's things that to me make natural immunity so much better. Like the fact that once I've had measles, I'm going to be immune for life. My entire life, I will never have to come in contact or worry about measles. In fact, I could rush into Washington and go into any hospital or go into this church and treat those children and never worry about it, unlike most doctors who are concerned because the vaccine wears off. They know it. After about 10 years, for those that really get lucky, maybe it lasts 20 years. So if we vaccinate, we're going to keep getting that vaccine over and over again. And by the way, now increasing our risk, right? Every time I'm going in, I'm risking getting an injury, but it actually gets worse. When we look at 59,711 injuries and 432 deaths, the CDC paid Harvard Medical School to see if they could automate theirs. The idea being, it looks like there may be underreporting. Could you automate the system so that as soon as there's an injury, whatever it is, whether it's seizures or diabetes or, passing out, that it would just immediately get registered onto the system so that we could really gather it. And why is that? They said, we'd like to actually know, what is the rate that people are reporting to VAERS? And so Harvard looked into all of that, and they were paid $1 million to study the VAERS system. And here's what they discovered, that the VAERS system is only capturing 1% of the total injuries.
No way. I was going to ask you if there was a
1%.
chance that it was underreported, but that's crazy.
Multiple studies. There was a study by our Congress that found the same thing, that doctors aren't using it. There are doctors that don't even know about it, who are giving vaccines every day. So Health and Human Services now quotes that, saying, well, they'll say to you, if we say we want to study from VAERS, we want to look into that database, you know what they'll say? Oh, you can't trust that database because of the underreporting is so bad, none of that information really means anything. So if we're at 1% with 59,000, that means that in 2016, there were 5.9 million injuries from vaccines. That means that perhaps 432 deaths is actually 43,000 deaths. And 10,000 emergency room visits becomes 1 million emergency room visits.
Yeah, you could take a zero off of that, and that's crazy. Even if you just, let's lowball that and just call it, let's say it's 10%. You're still at 4, that you're timesing everything by 10 right there.
Right. And so Harvard then, so they say, well, okay, you have a serious problem. So they did automate it. They practiced it on their own Harvard Pilgrim insurance system to see if they could get all the doctors in their system to have an automatic reporting system. And it worked. They got it up and running, and they gave about, I think it was like 35,000 doses of vaccines during the course of what they looked at with this automated system. And 10% of them were injured. They were reporting injuries. 10%, 1 in 10. Not 1 in 1,000, not 1 in 10,000, not 1 in a million. 1 in 10 were being injured. And so do you think the CDC said, thanks a lot, Harvard, thank you very much. Let's go ahead and just bring the entire national VAERS system online so that we can collect this really important data? No. What the CDC did, and you can read the report from Harvard, they said once we got it working and everything was up and running and we'd worked out all the problems, the CDC stopped returning our phone calls. They stopped returning our emails, and we never, ever heard from them again. Wow. They paid us $1 million. And then when they found out that the reporting system, when it worked, showed that there were 1 in 10 injuries, they just bailed on their $1 million, and they bailed on the study, and they never talked to us again. So there's where you're at. You have government agencies that are literally deciding, let's just stick our heads in the sand and act like we never saw that. Yeah. That there aren't any, we can, and here's how it works. They will say, if you really listen to the language, there are no studies that prove that vaccines cause autism. Yeah. There are no studies that prove that Tdap vaccine can lead to, multiple sclerosis or something like that. What they're saying is, if we refuse to do studies, then we can keep saying there are no studies that prove that point, even though hundreds of thousands of parents around the world are lining up and saying, I watched my child with my own eyes get the MMR vaccine or the DTaP vaccine, and had a high fever that night, started having seizures through the evening. I rushed to the hospital. They told me it was going to be okay. It looked like brain swelling. Then they stopped, started slurring their speech, stopped speaking, lost the ability to walk, and now they're 18 years old and they're in diapers and they can't communicate. You know how many people tell that story, and to have the CDC say, well, there's no proof that that's the case.
Yeah.
Isn't there
because they refuse to look.
Yeah.
isn't there even some I thought I was reading in Humphreys, was it I forget her.
Suzanne Humphreys? Is that
Suzanne
who you're talking
Humphreys. Yeah, I thought I was reading in her book that there was even some studies that pointed to exposure to the measles having some sort of anti-cancer properties.
Yes, yes. There's fascinating information like that. Yeah, there are certain cancers you won't get if you have the measles. There's certain heart conditions you won't get if you have the measles. Someone said to me the other day, we were in a debate of someone that's actually on my side, and they said, I don't believe God created infectious disease. I said, what? I totally disagree. I said, there's no Satan created infectious disease. I was like, I don't believe that, because we know through the science we're looking at, there are so many benefits to having a disease. For instance, if you had tuberculosis, you came in contact with tuberculosis before you're 12 years old, you cannot get multiple sclerosis. You cannot, right now, there's a fascinating study, and 100% effective. A scientist out of Boston is using a tuberculosis vaccine, which is just a wild tuberculosis strain, and injecting it into type 1 diabetics, and their diabetes corrects itself 3 years later.
Wow.
And I interviewed her, and she would normally, people would say, well, she's on the opposite side. In fact, a lot of the extreme, I would say vaccine abolitionists, I'm not one of those, really attacked me. How could you have this doctor on, selling a vaccine on your show? I said, because I told you from the beginning, I'm about science. I'm not telling you there's one size fits all. I don't believe vaccines should ever be used or anything like that.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is currently I won't touch a single vaccine because they've never been through a safety study. And I'm looking at reports that show they're extremely dangerous. But this woman was fascinating. And I asked her, I said, is it possible based on what you're finding? And by the way, they're having the same thing in Europe. They're doing studies where they're injecting tuberculosis vaccine and curing multiple sclerosis within about 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
And I said, so doesn't that lead us to the idea that tuberculosis actually was a benefit to the human species? And this woman from Boston University said, absolutely. That's absolutely what it is. She says all the antibacterial soaps and all our destruction. We used to have tuberculosis in all of our water, in the earth, everywhere we went. It's the most ubiquitous bacteria there is, and we were in contact with it from the dawn of man. So yes, removing it from our environment has created a rise in autoimmune disease, and it was fascinating. I was fascinated how many people that usually follow me were screaming at me and not listening to what this person who was supposedly from the other side was saying. In fact, a very similar study came out from a knighted scientist in the UK just last week, who said that he's trying to create, listen to this, he's trying to create a yogurt for children because he's recognized that cancer and leukemia is at an all-time high. And he's discovered the reason is that our children are not having an infection in the first year of life. He said the body needs to prime itself. These are the words from his mouth.
Yeah.
The body needs to prime itself for disease. And if the child does not get an infection in the first year of life, then it's a skyrocketing risk from there of getting a cancer in the future.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, he said everything except that he never mentioned the word vaccines because it'd be the end of him and they would fire him immediately. But that's exactly the point. We're messing with nature and it's not working for us.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Where was it? We just heard about the peanuts and the peanut allergies and the pregnant women.
The guy on Rogan. Yeah, we've increased. It was I forget his name, but the study was basically that if he did a study of so many women,
Jonathan Haidt.
Yeah, if he did a study of so many women, the women that followed the FDA or whoever in the USA gives the protocols for peanuts, If they
Yeah.
followed the no peanuts during pregnancy advice, the peanut allergy rate was 19%. If they ignored the advice and ate nuts, the peanut allergy rate was 3%.
Right. Right. I remember there was a similar study like that was like if you feed your kid peanuts within the first year of life, they had like a rate of peanut allergies something around like 2 or 3%. And if you waited as the I think it was the Pediatric Association had said till after 3 years old, it was again like 19-20% allergies to peanuts. I was working the doctors, I remember, and this is how my brain works. I saw that study and it came out of the UK. They suddenly said, we just took 1,000 children and we divided them into two groups. 500 got peanuts in the first year of life, and the other 500 we waited till after 3 years old. And we proved that the risk of, was minimal. You almost had no peanut allergies in the group that started eating peanuts in the first year of life. And then again, like 20 something percent if they waited till after 3 years old. And so they said, and the doctors show, my executive producer's like, this is a huge breakthrough, Del. We got to report on this. I mean, look at this. It's amazing. They're changing everything we know about peanuts for, the last, 20 years or whatever. And I said, that's not the story. To me, that's not the story. The story is when we started writing books, and MA started writing books, the Pediatric Association started writing books, and every pediatrician started telling us, stop feeding your kid peanuts for the first year of life, stop feeding pregnant women peanuts while they're pregnant. Didn't we all assume someone had done something as simple as take 1,000 kids, 500 in this group and 500 in that group, and actually prove their point? They didn't. Because that's the way this is the way this science works. It's not science.
No.
It's conjecture and it's theory. And that's the easiest study known to man. It had never been done. How shocking is that?
Yep.
And I mean, to me, it's as simple as just looking at your child mortality rates. I mean, so if the West has the best medicine and the best, we've got, these great facilities where we can do a C-section or, which has its own problems, or we can do this, that, or the other thing. So, I mean, our infant mortality rates should be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in the world. And instead, we got the USA and Canada. I mean, the last time I checked, I think we were coming in at 33 and 34 or something like that.
No, we in America, the stats are horrific. And that's one of the things I say when when I'll meet a scientist, they will say, you realize you're putting children at risk, or why are you doing this? And I say, because our children are at risk from something. We have the sickest children we've ever seen. The actual facts are in America, we have more babies die on the first day of life than every other industrialized nation combined. In fact, 50% more die in America than every other industrialized nation combined.
Yeah.
We have more babies die in the first year of life than every other industrialized nation. Meaning, the top financial countries that have finances in our first world nation, we're in last place. I remember there's an article like 6 months ago. You're 70% more likely to die in America before you reach the age of 18 than every other industrialized nation.
Oh my God.
All right, 70% more likely to die. So I say, with stats like that, shouldn't somebody be questioning something? And how is it possible? I worked on the doctor show. Don't get me wrong. We do have the best doctors in the world. We have the best hospital systems in the world. So why is it we cannot keep a baby alive? And that's where I look at you take those same nations and they do not have this insane vaccine program we have.
Yeah.
It's totally opt-in. Sweden's right up there on the top, and so is Japan. And they recommend vaccines, but you don't have to get them. And I'll tell you one thing they're not doing. They're not injecting a hepatitis B vaccine in their babies on the first day of life.
Exactly.
I'd like to just give a couple examples in case I'm sure people are wondering. Just a couple examples of the countries that are ahead of the United States in infant mortality. Where are we here? Oh, I lost my place. Dang it. I'm the worst at this. We got Latvia.
Yeah.
Spain, South Korea, Czech Republic, Luxembourg, Slovenia, and Iceland is top of the list. Iceland has the best. Yeah. Slovakia, Hungary, Countries that you wouldn't expect to be ahead of the U.S. on the
You
on the
have
list.
to imagine that we have a better medical system than Hungary, right? You do. You just so what could possibly be different? A lot of those countries don't even have like environmental protection agencies. You know what I mean? They have children still mining, in caves, and yet they have fewer children dying than we do. I mean, it's something's gone wrong, and I believe personally, when you when you take those countries and you line up their vaccine programs, it almost coincides with the numbers as they go. And like I said, if you have more babies dying on the first day of life, shouldn't you question the idea that we're giving Hep B? Hepatitis B is just like AIDS, okay? This is AIDS. It's a blood illness. It's a disease you can only get if you're sharing heroin needles or sleeping with prostitutes.
Right, right.
Now, I don't know how anyone's planning on raising their baby, but my baby hopefully will never be involved in that type of lifestyle, but it's not going to happen for a really long time. What is the rush?
Yeah, yeah.
And when we ask them, just stop that hepatitis B vaccine on day one, they refuse.
Yeah, and there's more on day one, isn't there?
Yes, well,
yeah.
you get a vitamin K shot, which is a huge hit of aluminum.
Ugh.
And then hepatitis B has got one of the highest levels of aluminum we've ever seen. Just so that people, and I think aluminum is really one of the major smoking guns in this whole situation.
Yeah, because isn't there a bunch of studies that show how aluminum does affect the brain?
If I remember correctly, it was something like that Hep B shot is like 5 times what they say a grown man should eat or should digest, not in a needle in a day.
For aluminum?
So that's how we do science here in America. There has never, ever been a study using a placebo group again where we injected aluminum. We've never done a study injecting aluminum into the human body. All of our confidence that it's safe is based on a rat study where we fed them aluminum. And what we came out with was that 25 micrograms of aluminum was the toxic limit a child could eat in one day, 25 micrograms to eat. Now, I don't think you have to be a rocket scientist. People say, what's your credentials, Del? I was like, common sense is mostly my credentials. So let's just think this through. So you're saying that because the maximum load I can eat, if I eat more than 25 micrograms, my kid eats more than 25 micrograms of aluminum, then it really becomes a toxic issue. And it's a known neurotoxin. It can make your brain swell. We know that. So you're saying it's safe up to 25 micrograms to eat, except that this hepatitis B vaccine is being injected. Do you really need a doctor to tell you that injecting is probably more toxic than eating? When we eat it, it goes into our stomach. We have a processing system. It's an open system. It'll come out in our urine. It'll come out in our feces. It goes through our body. When you inject it, it is trapped in your muscle. It's trapped into your bloodstream. It doesn't go anywhere. There is no elimination process by which your body knows how to get it out. So clearly, eating something and injecting it is totally different. And people say, well, I mean, look, I could eat peanut butter, but if I inject peanut butter in my bloodstream, I have a problem. You know what I mean? To just put it simply.
Or even just try oxygen.
We're not injecting the same 25. Right. Imagine injecting that same 25 micrograms in that child. You'd have to think if it's toxic if they eat 1 microgram more, injecting 25 micrograms should be really dangerous. Yeah. Well, that hepatitis B vaccine given to even preemies that are only like 3 pounds, like this big, they'll give it on the first day. They don't care. They don't care if you're a month early. You're still getting this vaccine on the first day in America. You're in a NICU, and we're going to give you this vaccine. It doesn't have 25 micrograms. It doesn't have 50. It doesn't have 100. It doesn't have 150. It has 250 micrograms of aluminum in it. 10 times the amount ever approved to be eaten by a child being injected into a baby that is sometimes this big. Yeah. And you know how many NICU nurses tell us that the doctor will say, get the crash bed. They'll bring over a crash cart with the oxygen ready and ready to intubate when they're about to inject a preemie in the NICU because they know they're going to go into cardiac arrest.
Jeez. And I mean, that aluminum, I was reading, I mean, they all end up fucking redacted, it seems like, by some strange coincidence. These studies get redacted. But I was reading something, a couple studies out of Europe that were saying something that it was like 10 out of 10, 10 out of 10 or 12 out of 12 autopsies of the brains of autistic kids had, 4, 5, 6 times the aluminum levels that in the frontal lobe or something like that. Then are you aware of those
So
studies?
I am. I interviewed Dr. Christopher Exley, who is the world's premier scientist on aluminum. This is a guy who got out of college, was really into fishing, and then started wondering why the fish were dying from acid rain, and that led him to aluminum. And for 35 years, he's studied nothing but aluminum. Obviously, started working into how it affects human beings. And as we all know, we live in the aluminum age. And what's interesting, so he did the premier study that many of us refer to about Alzheimer's. He dissected a bunch of, he got brains from Alzheimer's patients. And when he dissected them, he discovered the highest level of aluminum we have ever seen in a human brain up until that point. And when I was interviewing him, I said, so does that mean that aluminum, do you believe that aluminum then does lead to Alzheimer's? He said, no, my actual statement was no aluminum, no Alzheimer's.
Oh, wow.
And so he did never, he's still pro-vaccine. He just, but so many people are saying, will you please look at the aluminum in the autistic brains of children? Because there's so much aluminum in the vaccines. If Alzheimer's is being caused by it, certainly shouldn't we look at autism? And so he did. Just over about a year and a half ago, he dissected 5 brains. It was the most that anyone would give him. And what he reported was that all 5 of those brains had aluminum levels higher than all of the Alzheimer's brains. So the previous winner of most aluminum in a brain
breaking records
was
all over the place.
beat out by autism. And he said, here's the things that were the most shocking. I had a brain of I believe it was a 13-year-old boy who had autism, and his levels were higher than the entire body of Alzheimer's, whose average age was 65 years old. How was it that a 13-year-old brain could be getting a lifelong amount collection of aluminum that was affecting these elderly? And what he said was also different. The aluminum in Alzheimer's was around the outside, sort of clinging to the outsides of the brain tissue. In the autism, they found it inside the cells, inside what they call the glia cells, your white blood cells. These are your, the cells that heal you. And the theory that many scientists around the world are now looking into is that they think what's happening is when we're injecting this aluminum into usually your shoulder, your arm, your leg, that our white blood cells have something called the macrophage. The macrophage are sort of like the vacuum cleaners. They go and eat up toxins in your body and then try and process them and clear them out. Well, they're gobbling up the aluminum, but it's not getting out of the body because of other contents like polysorbate 80, which breaks down your blood-brain barrier. So these white blood cells that are supposed to be healthy are going to your brain to try and heal and keep your body healthy, but they're carrying aluminum up into the brain cells. And there's a lot of studies looking at that right now. And you have an amazing scientist up in Canada, in British Columbia, Dr. Christopher Shaw, who has done some fantastic aluminum study on mice and rats. And his story is very interesting because he was brought in and started looking at Lou Gehrig's disease. That was sort of a specialty of his, because Lou Gehrig's disease was very similar to what we were calling Gulf War syndrome. And we had people going to the Gulf. We all know Gulf War syndrome, this debilitating disease. But what he found curious and started his studies is we were having people getting Gulf War syndrome that had never been to the Gulf. So at first we believed it was like depleted uranium or things that we're using in the bombs, or they're around, the burning oil fields, all of these theories. But then we started having soldiers, and the rate of Lou Gehrig's was, I think, something like 7 times the amount of the standard population. So a 700% increase in Lou Gehrig's disease in soldiers. Essentially, locked in on aluminum being the cause, and the military gets a lot of aluminum. They get a lot of vaccines, more than anybody else. And so he started running studies, and then it hit him. Geez, if this is happening to adult men, and we're watching this regression into this, neurological disorder, what's it doing to our children in the vaccine program? And so then he lowered the doses to mimic the childhood vaccine schedule in America. in his mice. And then he did the Swedish schedule in a group of mice. And then he used a placebo. Think of that, a placebo, a saline injection for the mice. And it was clear off the charts. The ones that got the saline injection were perfectly healthy mice. The Swedish had a couple of mice would show some cognitive issues, but the ones that were getting the American vaccine schedule were showing clear signs of what they call autism-like behaviors, where it lost the ability to to complete the mazes it was doing before the vaccinations, lost social, where it wouldn't sit with the group of mice anymore, it would just sit on its own, isolated. All sorts of things like that Barbary, where it would start biting and pulling the hair out of all the an aggression came out of them. And when you look at these studies and then you listen to how parents describe autism in a child, some of which the extreme forms are dealing with real aggression problems, especially as the kids get to be into their teenage years. It's a very, very difficult situation. But that's Chris Shaw. And then you have Roman Girardi looking at the delivery system of aluminum once it's injected and how it's traveling to the brain, and amazing studies by a guy named Zibin Yao out of China, who actually was educated in America, showing the same thing, autism-like features in mice and rats. We have a serious problem here, a really, really serious problem.
Well, what do they say to all this? I mean, what's their answer to the evidence that aluminum causes this much damage? I mean, did they say, is there another type of aluminum, like it doesn't match the same thing? I mean, are they trying to, or do they just completely ignore it and just?
Well, that's what Chris Shaw said. He said, once I did that study with the mice in the childhood vaccine schedule, he said, I expected to be attacked. And instead, no one ever mentioned it.
Yeah.
It was published in a journal and they just ignored it.
Yeah.
And when you bring it up to guys like Paul Offit or Stanley Plotkin or all of our heads of state, Tony Fauci, they say there's no proof that aluminum, has any issue whatsoever. There's theories. They refuse to look at science from anywhere else in the world, and they refuse to do the science here. Again, to that point, if we don't do the science, then we can say there is no science that proves that.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, the reason the so-called anti-vaccine movement is growing is because we're right. We are reading the science and we are winning. And these ridiculous bumper sticker statements like vaccines are safe and effective are really falling apart on the pharmaceutical industry. I would say this, I had a simple thought. Can you imagine driving down the road and you see a billboard and it just says drugs are safe and effective? That's all it says. Black billboard, white letters, drugs are safe and effective, the CDC, or whatever your health department is, right? What would you do as you're driving, you're stuck in traffic? What would your brain be thinking? You'd be thinking, what do they mean by that? I mean, are they telling me like every drug is totally safe? Is that because I've watched on my television people suing all the time and lawsuits lost and lies and cover-ups? Are they saying that like even brand new ones that are coming that we haven't even heard of yet, those are going to be safe too? Or what about combinations of drugs? I've heard you can't combine certain drugs. Your mind would say that is the stupidest statement you could ever make. Yet how is our mind allowing that statement to be made about vaccines? Vaccines are safe and effective. They don't hurt anybody. These things have wild live viruses in them, bacteria, floating foreign DNA from an aborted baby, whether it's a boy or a girl, or we can't just, what happens when you put a transplant of a body part in someone? You got to make sure the body doesn't fight it. Yet we're putting DNA from another child into our children. We're putting Cocker Spaniel DNA, worm DNA. The list goes on. And you're telling me you can do that ad nauseum. You can pile 7, 10, 15 vaccines all at one time in one sitting in a 2, 4, 6-month-old baby. It defies all reason. And I think it's unfortunate. I'm not anti-science. I'm really worried that the overstatement by this industry, by our health departments, their callous disregard for the intelligence of humanity is in Washington screaming like their hair is on fire. But the truth is more and more people are looking into the science and saying, you cannot just make a blanket statement and show me no science. See, our side now, and if you go to icandecide.org, which is my website, my nonprofit, we have government papers you can read, and it has all the citations of all the medical journals where we get our information. We have white papers on vaccine dangers. Same thing. I cite all the medical science.
Yeah.
I'm not making this up. I don't sit with a crystal ball. I'm not talking to some acupuncturist and asking them what they think about vaccines. I'm reading the science, and the science is actually on our side.
Yeah. And people should really have a choice, right? I mean,
Say what?
people should have a choice, really. I mean, whether they is that what that ICANN's about as well? Is that informed consent?
Yes, it's informed consent. Informed consent came from we had 16 doctors from Germany that were testing vaccines and drugs and medical experiments on innocent people, Jews in concentration camps. And so we had the Nuremberg trials. And I think all 16 of them were hung in the end. But we came out of that with a set of rules called the Nuremberg Code. And the very first, number one on the Nuremberg Code is informed consent, that the consent of the patient is absolutely essential. That, and it goes on to say that any procedure, any injection, any medical experiment, the patient must know all of the benefits and all of the potential side effects and then be allowed to make a choice. Our vaccine program in America, where, oh, and by the way, it says you can't use force to do anything. You can't use coercion. And yet, here in America, we're using coercion in California, where we took all the rights away from parents. If they want to opt out of the vaccine program, their kids can't go to school, not in a private school, not in a public school. That's coercion. That's the total destruction of the Nuremberg Code. Now in Washington, with the 30 people with measles, they are saying they want to take away all exemptions. Same thing, that you will now be forced to be injected with these pharmaceutical products that have never been through a safety study. Total destruction of the Nuremberg Code. And we have to ask ourselves, what is going on?
Yeah, why?
So yes, I'm all about choice.
Why is this? I mean, this comes to the big question, really, is it just a money thing? Is it just big pharma pushing their wallet around and you know, all the lobbying, or is there a deeper nefarious intention behind it all? I mean, it's hard not to go to that conspiratorial thing that says, like, they don't want healthy people, and they just want a bunch of barely educated worker bees.
Well, the other thing no one ever seems to know about is like the vaccine
Injury
the
fund?
Vaccine Injury Act and the Vaccine Injury Fund, and the fact that the U.S. is paying out hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to the people that don't get killed.
Yeah.
I mean, the other big one for us is polio. What do you have sort of a take on polio?
Well, those are three huge ideas. First of all, is there some nefarious intent? Is there nefarious intent? Let's start there. I'll write down polio, so I'll get to that. I grapple with that. I'm a person that likes to. I truly believe in humanity.
Yeah.
I believe in the human spirit. I believe we mostly mean well. So it's very hard for me to accept that there may be people that are just knowingly poisoning children, innocent children.
Yeah.
I know for sure that doctors aren't the ones that. I don't blame the doctors necessarily. I'm starting to blame them more because more and more science and the work I'm doing and Bobby Kennedy, and it's becoming, at least look into this, you idiot. You know what I mean? You can't just, at this point, it's not like I didn't know, but you didn't know. The doctors were trained poorly. No pediatrician knows anything about how a vaccine actually works. They're just told on page, 185 of the textbook, one page literally just says vaccines are great, they're safe and effective. If your patient tries to deny them, just tell them that it's the greatest invention of the 20th century and they're safe and effective, and then you inject it here or here. There is not a single discussion. A pediatrician cannot tell you how the immune system actually works. They cannot tell you the ingredients in the vaccine, which I find shocking when it's really all that they do. But why? Like, how is this happening? I do believe there's people that know. One of the things that people should look up is there's a great deposition of a man named Stanley Plotkin. If you go on YouTube, you'll be able to find it because we're all talking about posting videos like crazy. This guy is the living father of our vaccine program. He's made more vaccines than anybody alive. He's on the board of almost every pharmaceutical company in the world. And he made a tragic mistake. He decided to come in as a witness on a trivial, not a trivial, but to them it was important, a child custody issue. where a father wanted to vaccinate the kid and the ex-wife didn't. And so pharma decided, let's send in our best guy
Hmm.
to support the idea for the father that he should use vaccines. What he didn't know is that in order to be in court, he would be allowed to be deposed.
Oh,
And he was deposed for 9 hours in front of a video camera. And for the first time in history, we have one of the top people having to answer questions under oath.
wow.
It's 9 hours, or you can look at the little pieces. We're on my show, we're cutting a little piece out at a time, but it is keep waiting for this guy to just scream, "You can't handle the truth." Because incredibly dark. And what I come to when I watch him, and I've seen him speak and I've seen him write about things, mostly what I think is happening is this. He has said things like, we are at war with infectious disease. And do I believe there's casualties of that war? Of course there are. There's casualties of every war. But if we're ever going to achieve freedom from infectious disease, then we have to continue to march forward. And that's what he tells himself while he kills innocent children that would have had lives. That they're simply casualties of a dream of his. And we put out a video where he admits to, in one study alone, using 76 aborted fetuses. And shocking statements by this guy. He said he ends up admitting he tested his products on handicapped people in insane asylums. It just goes on and on. And ultimately, he declares that he's an atheist and that he hates people who have religious beliefs. But this is the guy who's designing our vaccine program. So I think that and I think he still refuses to do the studies to get the actual numbers. He doesn't want to see the data.
Yeah,
He would never want to see that it's 43,000 people being killed every year by the vaccine program if we automated it.
yeah,
So he, along with the CDC, let's just keep the numbers as low as we can so that I keep telling myself that the casualties of this war are very low. So that's mostly what I think is driving it. Certainly money when it comes to pharma. Pharma is the most powerful lobby in Washington
yeah.
today. They're outspending oil and gas 2-1. I believe, and all over the world, they're pushing mandatory vaccine programs. Not to sound like some crazy conspiracy theorist, but pharma is about to own every human body in the world if we don't stop them.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it is not going to stop with our children. Here in America, Health and Human Services, which is our mothership health department, had a program on their website called Healthy People 2020. By 2020, they wanted to have a fully installed vaccine, mandatory vaccine program for all adults. That's the goal of pharma now. And I think it's always been the goal.
Hmm.
They're not really concerned over the 2 or 3% of children who are not vaccinated in Washington. They're not going to make some extra $1 billion from that. But when they manage to get government officials to force an adult vaccine program, they have now got 320 million forced customers.
Yep,
And
exactly.
there's thousands of vaccines coming in the
Yeah,
pipeline.
yeah.
It's
So
the future of this industry.
is there a connection there between, are they pushing pro-abortion and Planned Parenthood type stuff? I mean, is there a connection there to keep the to
That
keep
I don't know.
keep the
I haven't.
product moving? I mean,
Well, I mean, they're able to just keep recreating the same cell lines. I heard China just aborted a new baby for some of the vaccines they're making. So I don't think that drives that industry. They can do it without more
yeah,
abortions. I just
yeah,
find it fascinating that the same people that are, pro-choice are also pro-vaccine. And then when you're down south, people that are, pro-life are pro-vaccine. Like, how could you be pro-life and not care about the fact that you're injecting aborted fetal tissue into your baby? And by the way, it's not just that, religion, we think, well, it's an abomination to inject dead baby cells into my own baby. But there's actually science now backing that up. There's a great scientist in Seattle named Dr. Teresa Deisher. She's one of the top stem cell scientists in the world. She discovered the adult heart stem cell. She's the one that moved us into adult stem cells that we could draw from our own body versus having to get them from aborted fetuses. So we are talking about one of the top scientists in the world. Her studies are showing that these fragments of DNA from the aborted fetuses that are in the MMR vaccine, the varicella vaccine, and the hepatitis A vaccine, that the stem cells of our children are coming down and taking up that little piece of fragmented code and inserting it into the code of the stem cell and thus mutating itself and then recreating that error over and over and over again. She believes that's leading to the rise in childhood leukemia and probably is an explanation for the rise in autism too. So
Wow. Wow.
it's not just that's an abomination, it's actually a scientific principle. And she makes a great point. She said, when I talk to gene therapists, we've all been waiting for this gene splicing idea. We read about it in all the time, Scientific America or whatever. But you know why it's not really here yet? You can't go and get genes inserted because they can't figure out a way. And she says, I've talked to the top guys, they're friends of mine. I say, they say we can't quite get the gene, the little piece of code we're inserting to fix an error. If it doesn't land in the right place, it just starts replicating and turning into cancer over and over and over again.
Wow.
And so we haven't figured out how to get around that problem. And she said to them, what if I told you that we actually are injecting code, DNA code, in our vaccines into children? They're like, oh, that's baloney. It's like, no, it's true. It's happened. It couldn't be. That you couldn't do that. You'd have cancer everywhere. You'd have all sorts of autoimmune disease.
But we do have all sorts of autoimmune disease.
Exactly right. She said to them, I will show you the ingredients. And they were mind blown.
Wow.
They said, you've got to be kidding me. So think about this. The top scientists that are looking at genes are not talking to the top scientists that are making vaccines. And if they did, they'd be like, are you out of your mind? You cannot do that. Because it causes all sorts of havoc in the body. And that's exactly what's happening with the health of our children. We've gone from 12.8% autoimmune disease and neurological disorders, so chronic illness is what it's grouped at, 12.8% in the 1980s before we took away liability. And then now that we've accelerated from 10 vaccines to 72 vaccines by the time you're 18, that 12.8% has risen to 54% of children in America have either a neurological disorder or an autoimmune disease. So there you have it. I mean, there it is. I wouldn't be here if we had the healthiest children in the world. Yeah. We don't.
Yeah.
They're the sickest in the world. And by the way, it's the sickest generation of children we've seen in America. We would say it all the time on the medical talk show I worked on, the doctors. This is the first generation of children that will not live to be as old as their own.
Wow. Wow.
Disgusting. Yeah. So you mentioned the liability thing there. Can you just expand on that?
Do you want to talk about vaccine court now or polio?
Let's go. Let's touch on the vaccine court quick, since you mentioned it. You kind of touched on it there.
Yeah, I mean, that's really important because, I when I first got into this, I was saying to my best friend, that we took liability away from vaccine makers. It's the only product in the world, and it's the only product that pharma makes that you can't sue them when it injures you. And we created, instead of suing them, we created a court called Vaccine Court, where we actually just complain and basically sue our government. And if we prove our child was injured, we just get a payout. And my friend said, doesn't the need for a court like that prove right there that vaccines injure kids? Yep. I mean, it's really that simple, right? Yep. If you have to have a court to deal with vaccine injuries, you can't be saying vaccines are safe and effective. Like those two things don't go together. But here's what happened. In 1986, the DPT vaccine specifically was so horrific and causing seizures and deaths that the pharmaceutical industry was getting sued like crazy. And they even complained it is not profitable anymore to make vaccines. Think about that. Think about pharma. Think about the billions and billions of dollars it makes off over all the things it sells us in our I don't know if you have the TV ads actually in Canada. You're a little different than we are.
I don't have a TV.
All the stuff we're being sold. And it's so bad, this product, that they can't make money anymore. So they go to Ronald Reagan and our Congress, and they essentially blackmailed them. They say, we're going to stop making all vaccines unless you protect us from liability. Ronald Reagan thought it was a terrible idea. So did our Congress. But there were, everybody came to the table and thought, well, at least if we made it like a low fault court where we're not really blaming the vaccine, and since we know some kids are being injured, it'll be easier for parents to get paid out when their kids do get injured. When they're one of those rare casualties, they should get paid and be able to take care of that invalid, that child, for the rest of their life. And so it passed. We took liability away from the industry, and we created a kangaroo vaccine court. It's become everything it was not supposed to be. It was supposed to be non-adversarial, meaning you just had to meet this really low bar of proof that the vaccine caused the injury to your child or yourself, and then you get a payment to be able to take care of that injury the rest of your life. But very, very early on, they realized I think that they made a tragic error. They suddenly had 5,000 people lined up in vaccine court whose children had autism, and all of them were saying, we watched it happen right after the vaccines. Now, prior to that moment, we were paying out between $3 and $5 million to take care of a child with autism and all the way through their adulthood. Remember, when their parents die, someone's going to have to take care of them. They're going to have to go into some sort of institution or facility. They're going to have special education their whole life. They're going to have certain physical issues like gut problems and Crohn's disease and all things that come with autism. So imagine they were looking at 5,000 cases that were going to cost them $3 to $5 million apiece. Suddenly, the U.S. government was on the hook for billions of dollars. And a problem that was, and we're just talking about one disease. We're not talking about multiple sclerosis or diabetes and all the other things they pay out for. And so they ended up, creating this, what they called the omnibus proceeding. They took those 5,000 and selected 6 cases out of it. And they said, how we judge these 6 cases, that will be the judgment for all 5,000. So, and I'm going to get to the point because one of the biggest discoveries in the last, literally like 2 weeks ago, the whole game has changed. Nice. So this is all mid-2000s. They're in this court situation. So the first case comes along, and it's Michelle Cedillo. This girl has, her parents swear that she has autism after the vaccine. Well, they bring in a state's witness. The top neurologist in the world that has studied autism is a man named Dr. Andrew Zimmerman. Dr. Andrew Zimmerman studies the case. He knows more about autism than anybody in the world. The family's there. They have their own specialists and scientists trying to say that, that the vaccine did it. And Dr. Andrew Zimmerman said, there is no scientific mechanism by which a vaccine can cause autism. And so that case lost. Okay, 1 down, 5 to go.
Wow.
The next case comes along. It's a girl named Hannah Poling. Now, Hannah Poling got a vaccine and regressed into autism. Here's the problem. Hannah Poling's father is a man named John Poling, a neurologist that works with Dr. Andrew Zimmerman. And Dr. Andrew Zimmerman knew this little girl and watched this thing happen with his own eyes. And he brought in scientists, Dr. Kelly, and they investigated this girl and said, what happened here? And what they discovered was that she had an underlying mitochondrial disorder. And they looked into it and realized that these vaccines, if you have an underlying mitochondrial disorder, could disrupt your immune system to the point where it swells your brain. And then the result of the brain swelling is autism-like features. His mind is changed. So he goes to the Department of Justice. Now, he's already beat a bunch of these cases, even before the omnibus. They love him. He just busts these cases and no one can beat him. And he walks up to the lawyers and he says, I have changed my point of view. We have now discovered the mechanism by which a vaccine can cause autism. And that is if there is an underlying mitochondrial disorder. The Department of Justice fired him the next morning, and he was never asked to be in that court again. And then the Hannah case and removed it from the 5 and settled it off to the side for a figure that none of us ever knew about. And Hannah Poling, you can see it. You just look it up. She's on Sanjay Gupta. They did a little media, and then somehow they got suppressed and shut down, and they didn't talk about it ever again. Well, about a couple months ago, Dr. Zimmerman discovered, he did not know this. So here comes like the 3rd or 4th case is a child named Yates Hazelhurst. He has the same exact story as Hannah Poling. And the father, Rolf Hazelhurst, is a district attorney from the South. So he knows what he's doing there. And he lays out the case and he loses. But when he loses, the Department of Justice gets up and says, though Dr. Zimmerman, Andrew Zimmerman, the world's leading authority on neurology and autism, could not be here in this case, his official statement is that there's no mechanism by which a vaccine causes autism. After they'd been pulled aside and told that had changed. And they used that statement to make the official statement in America, there's no mechanism by which a vaccine causes autism. And Zimmerman really wrapped his head around that and has filed an affidavit against the Department of Justice and said, I have been fraudulently misrepresented. And my official statement is there are rare circumstances by which a vaccine can cause autism.
Wow.
Bobby Kennedy is working on trying to mount a case against our health department for misrepresenting the world's leading authority on neurology and autism. By the way, in the last 33 years, that's really all Dr. Zimmerman has focused on. He will tell you he's still pro-vaccine. He's not an anti-vaxxer. He's just saying we need to start finding these children that have a pre-existing condition.
Yeah.
And when they look at the numbers in the facilities he's working at, Dr. Kelly and him, they're saying that it looks like 30 to 50% of the children with autism had an underlying previous mitochondrial disorder, which means that perhaps at least half of the autism in this country, in the world, is being caused by a vaccine.
Could have been stopped.
I kind of got off on the court, but that's just how the courts work. It's a corrupted court.
No,
And,
that's good, because then you give us some latest, latest news on that as well. That's good.
And he's been attacked as a great. I talked about it on my show, but Cheryl Atkinson, her show, what's it called? She did a really great 10-minute expose on Dr. Zimmerman. He came under attack by the pharmaceutical institutions. So he actually re-upped just 2 weeks ago and put out an official statement online saying, I stand by what I said. My statements have been mischaracterized by this industry. But let's just talk about this perfect storm. You know, we've gone through all the different areas of safety, which is where I've been focused the most for the last 3 years. I think I'm the only journalist that's really ever focused on vaccines for 3 entire years of their life and nothing else. And only about safety. I really don't. This year, we're going to start looking at efficacy, but I have only been focused on safety. Think about this. We are talking about an industry that brought us Vioxx. That killed 65,000 people with heart attacks. Merck made it. And in court, they ended up paying out $3 billion because their internal memo showed they knew that the drug caused heart attacks, and they hid it from the FDA. Because we had discovery in the court system, we got internal emails, and those internal emails were saying things like, when doctors were starting to question, I feel like my patients are getting heart attacks from this drug, pharma, the Merck reps reached out to the people that were promoting the vaccines, to the doctors, and said, don't worry about it. I know there's some tension in hospitals, but any doctor that questions Vioxx, we will hunt them down and destroy them where they work. That was an internal email.
Wow.
And we know that's how they think of the consumer. Merck makes most of your childhood vaccines. I think part of the job of getting through to people is that vaccines are not made in a room by some angels at Merck. It's the same money-driven, corruptible, industry that has brought us all these other problems with drugs, fen-phen. Or did you see last week Johnson & Johnson is now paying out billions of dollars because they knew for the last 5 decades that baby powder, their shower to shower and their baby powder had asbestos in it, and it was causing cervical cancer. So when people tell me, are you telling me people are, that they're just trying to hurt kids? I'm telling you, you can't trust this industry.
Yeah.
So we take that same industry and we allow them to have a product you cannot sue them for. We take all liability away. You take away the market force that a lawsuit could actually, sure, baby powder is going to be made now. They paid out billions of dollars. It took 50 years. We took liability away. Okay, so that's the main market force that would ever make this industry make a safer product. It gets even worse, actually. They're not only are they not incentivized to do a safety study, they're disincentivized because the way the law is written in the 1986 Act is that if you know about a side effect and you do not report it, then and only then can you be sued.
Yeah.
So that essentially says, so you're saying if I don't do any safety studies and I don't find any problems, I'm fine. But if I do a safety study and I find a problem, I don't tell you about it, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
So we've taken liability away. Then we take this product and we mandate it upon citizens. We take away their choice. So you've taken away the market force of lawsuits. Now you're taking away consumer choice. They don't have to get a better product. I can't choose the others. I can't make choices like that. Or I can't say, I'm not doing the MMR altogether. I'll do the single measles and a single mumps and a single rubella. None of those options are available to me. So we've taken away the choice. And then when you think about the fact that this is the only product they make, where they make the excuse, we don't do safety studies with it because it would be unethical. So anyone that thinks, wow, Del, you're crazy, answer those questions for me.
Yeah.
How do you feel safe with this lying industry under those three perfect storms coming together? No safety studies, no liability, no choice.
Yeah. Wow.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. It really does. And
That's a great way to summarize it, really.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
But that let's not end there. Actually, let's suck a little more.
Okay.
Let's run through polio quick, and then let's see
Okay.
if we can put a little shine on this before we wrap it up.
All right. Well, I think when you're talking about polio, the big thing is, these anti-vaxxers are going to cause a return of polio, right? Like what about polio? You hear that all the time. I could argue that from multiple directions, but I will say this: not getting a measles vaccine is not going to bring back a return of polio. Okay, that's just a fact. The measles vaccine, and people say smallpox is going to return. How is smallpox going to return by not getting a chickenpox vaccine? I mean, it's nonsensical, the statements being made. We don't even have a smallpox vaccine anymore. But polio, I'll come halfway. Let's say this. Let's say polio actually did eradicate. I mean, the vaccine actually eradicated polio. If we want to take that perspective, okay. But that was a really dangerous vaccine. In fact, it caused polio for a lot of people. In fact, the polio vaccine, we don't use the original polio vaccine in America or in Canada, I don't think, that eradicated polio. The one we use now is much less effective. And should polio ever sprout back up, we'll have to go back to the old one. I'm not going to get into the details of why that is. But the only polio cases now in the world are being caused by the vaccine itself. And that's always been a problem. It has a side effect of you can actually you shed the polio virus when you get the vaccine. So if you give a baby a polio vaccine and the diaper, it sheds just the way regular polio does. So the polio vaccine could cause polio. In fact, it started epidemics in areas that didn't have it at all. Additionally, the polio vaccine for a very long time unknowingly had a simian virus because we were growing it on monkeys. And just like the aborted fetal tissue, when we're growing it on aborted babies, you can't extract that tissue. And so we got simian viruses into the polio vaccine. It's called simian virus 40, which means it's the 40th virus, by the way, they found. This one happened to be extremely cancer causing, and they think it led to millions of cases of cancer in America and probably Canada too, I would guess. So you have a dirty vaccine, and it's dangerous. You take on those risks. You take on the risk of getting polio. You take on the risk of getting cancer and things like that because we had a crisis. Polio was scary. People were being paralyzed. But measles is not polio. Chickenpox is not smallpox. The problem is we've moved out of deadly diseases. Polio really could be considered deadly to go after childhood illnesses, trivial illnesses. And we're taking on the same risk. We're taking on the risk of a vaccine for something we didn't need it for that includes death. The flu shot causes Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is paralysis. It happens all the time. It's listed right there on the vaccine insert. Why would you take on a risk of paralysis for life or even death? Flu shot has more deaths in the VAERS system than almost any other vaccine, just because we don't want to feel bad for 4 or 5 days. So, we've got to look at this vaccine program. We have to look at, are we vaccinating for things that we don't need to vaccinate for? Is this increased schedule making us sicker than we were before? And that's clear that that's the case. Now, I could also say, though, if I wanted to really get deeper into Suzanne Humphrey's work and a great book, Dissolving Illusions. And what she points out is doctors didn't like polio vaccine back then. But it's anecdotal to say that the vaccine eradicated polio. We don't know that. Well, they'll say, well, autism is anecdotal that the vaccine happened at the same time as autism. That's true about all science. It's anecdotal to say you introduced the vaccine and the disease disappeared. We also got better running water and better, sanitation systems. And guess what happened? At the same crisis point of polio was the same time we were spraying a product called DDT on all of our food, on our swimming pools. You'll see videos of them spraying this fog of an insect repellent on children. At that exact same moment, children were getting paralyzed with polio. Guess what one of the side effects ended up being when they finally looked at DDT? Paralysis.
Oh my God.
So we got rid of DDT at the same time that polio vaccine came online, and we say that the polio vaccine cured polio. We don't know that. It could have been removing DDT or other environmental situations like that. So we don't know, but we should be looking at it. And I think we should really be looking at why are we not evolving these products? Why are we making them safer? Why aren't we doing safety studies, for God's sakes? And simplest of all, and this is it. Anyone that wants to come and scream in my face, I'll talk to any doctor, any scientist all day, every day. We asked for one thing when Bobby Kennedy and I and several people on our team got the opportunity to go to the National Institute of Health. We were sent there by Donald Trump as sort of a vaccine, entourage to ask some questions. And we said, if vaccines actually make children safer, then there's really one way you could prove that right now. You are sitting on a database called the VSD that has 10 million people on it here at the CDC. There's tens of thousands of children that are unvaccinated in that schedule, and you have all of their health records, all of their vaccine records. Will you please just do a comparative study between the vaccinated, the fully vaccinated, and the fully unvaccinated children? Just go ahead and graph it out and ask very simple questions. By the way, we live in a modern age. Computers can actually do this, believe it or not. You could take these two groups and chart all their information into the computer and ask, who has more autism? Who has more diabetes? Who has more leukemia? Who has more ADD, ADHD? Who has more eczema? Who has more asthma? And we could find the answer. And we would know once and for all. And if it came out and vaccines actually did better, we had lower rates of all those things, and the unvaccinated are just as dirty as we said they were, my career here would be over. Bobby Kennedy would be done. They could shut us up forever. But you know what they said? We'll never do that study.
Yeah.
And there you have it. You go ahead and take that. You can say, oh, you're leading. They will not do the simplest study known to man to end the argument for all anti-vaxxers forever. Why? You know why. And you know they've done it.
Yeah.
Because that's what they do.
Yeah.
And they've never shown the public because we can't handle the truth.
That's right. And all they want to do is shut you up when they won't talk about it or won't even discuss it. And it's the same on other things. This science corruption is happening in other levels, like you talked about, and other
all
things.
Levels.
And it's when they just want to shut you up instead of talking about it. And that gives you the clue right there. So Darren, did you want to end on?
When it comes to like those things like science and stuff like that, those are the things that make me think that science could maybe be socialized instead of capitalism. Maybe that's a good use of the S word.
Yeah.
The energy, and the roads and the scientists.
We need to get back to science. What we have now is in a religion.
Yeah.
When you don't test something for safety and you tell people they have to use it and they have to trust you without any proof that it works, they don't look at the diseases it's causing, and all the parents, they don't listen to the parents that are witnesses all over the world that are showing you there's signals, there's problems. When you don't do that and you keep saying, get your damn vaccine, vaccines are safe and effective, that's a religion.
Yeah.
That's not science.
Yeah.
Science invites the skeptic. Science invites the challenge because it knows if it's true science, it can stand up.
Yeah.
It doesn't avoid it. It doesn't bully you. It doesn't punch you in the face instead of having a conversation.
Exactly.
So before we wrap this up, this great conversation, is there any good news? Are you making any headway? I mean,
I think the news is great. I think we have the fastest growing movement in the world. That is indicated by every news station you see right now screaming with their hair on fire over the 30 kids and people in Washington. All they keep saying is this movement is growing. I get a weird, little buzz because I know they're trying to attack us, but it's because they don't have an answer. The World Health Organization is saying that this anti-vaccine sentiment is a growing health concern in the world. Italy just elected politicians that ran on an basically a vaccine skeptic platform and won. And now they are actually funding scientists to do challenge studies of the vaccine program for the first time ever,
Wow.
instead of firing them and kicking them out of the country. I think that, we are coming to a head. There is definitely a war of ideology and a war of science and thought that's happening. People need to step up now, though. This is the moment. The lines have been drawn, and pharma wants to force this on every single human on the planet. And once everybody's vaccinated, we will lose the ability to ever do that comparative study. If they can force every child to be vaccinated, we will never be able to remember what we once were or how healthy we once were. And you only have to look at the schools now. America, exploding special needs classes, autism through the roof, neurological disorders, speech delays through the roof, diabetes everywhere, highest rates ever seen. So many kids have eczema. Yes, eczema is a vaccine injury, folks. When people say to me, my child got the vaccine program and they weren't affected by it, I say, oh, they're not on ADD medication? Oh, well, yeah, they are. Well, did you have ADD, ADHD? Did anyone in your family, in your history? No. Where do you think it's coming from? See, this is what's going on. And people have to wake up and start being critical thinkers again. Stop just repeating something because a doctor said it.
How can they get involved, or how can they help?
Best thing to do is get involved with every local chapter. Somewhere in Calgary, there's going to be a vaccine risk awareness group or a health choice group. Anywhere in America that's watching this, find your state representative and get out, because we've got to fight these bills. I'm going to be in Washington next Friday when they try to drop that bill and people are getting up to speak against the mandated vaccine program they're trying to push. We've got to nip these things in the bud. We've got to stand up for our rights. Think about it. Do you really think it's a good idea to have a government that's allowed to inject things into your body that you have no control over? I mean, if we don't learn from our history, we're doomed to repeat it. There are some dangerous figures out there that would have loved to have had a program where every citizen lines up and gets injected and is not allowed to question, what is that you're putting into me?
Yeah.
That's what this is really about. Forget the word vaccines.
Yeah.
These are injections into your children and yourself that you will not be able to control.
Well said.
Yeah, that was great thing, and it looks like where things are moving in the right direction, so that's exciting. Like I say, in Canada, we don't have a lot of those problems yet. I mean, I don't face too much. I mean, the one thing I do consider from time to time is, I mean, I've seen some stuff about the chicken pox, because it seems like impossible to get the chicken pox nowadays.
Yeah.
So I mean, we hum and haw about that one maybe when they're a little older, because I mean, I know a couple people that got shingles, and that does not seem fucking fun. But then, I mean, I don't know how much of that is. I still got a few years.
Oh, no, shingles, I mean, I could go on for days. Shingles, the reason we have shingles
is because of chicken pox, right?
Pox vaccine.
Yeah, that's what I think.
We are not coming in contact with our children when they get chicken pox, which was the natural boost that kept us from ever getting shingles. So the vaccine's causing the shingles epidemic. But we are winning. We are, just go to my website, icandecide.org. You can see the government papers. I won 2 lawsuits last year against the government health agencies, 1 lawsuit against Health and Human Services and 1 lawsuit against the National Institute of Health. We're going to launch more lawsuits in the benefit of people's health against our health agencies. If I'm wrong, how is it that I'm winning lawsuits against them?
Yeah. Well, I'll put all those links in the show notes for people to check them out. And, thanks so much for the awesome conversation and being so passionate and well spoken about it. It was a great information session.
Yeah, we appreciate your work, sir.
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. Yeah.
Thanks for having this conversation, because we can change anything if we have a conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
We cannot allow anyone to say, this is not a debate. This is not a discussion. Yeah. We are free people. We are still free people. We have to exercise our right to the conversation.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Del.
Okay.
All right. Chat.
And that was our chat. It's the one and only Del Bigtree. What do you think, buddy? I accidentally hung up on him.
That was pretty mind blowing there. It was sort of way better than I
See, I
expected.
think I know a lot of that stuff, but he just delivers it
It's just
fucking
all
boom,
right there,
boom,
you know.
because
It's
he's in
just
it.
perfect. Yeah,
He's in it
yeah.
all day, every day.
Really, really good.
Something tells me this might have been a seminal episode for Brody.
Yeah,
No?
yeah. No, it was good. I mean, it makes sense. He's not very dogmatic about it. He really is just like, hey, let's
Well,
do
he
some tests. And,
Comes at it from a medical journalist standpoint, right? So he just kind of accidentally came into it.
yeah.
Yeah. So big thanks to Del for coming on the show. I'm sure we'll get some hate mail on this one. That's always fun. Big thanks to Del. Big thanks to you guys for listening, supporting. Of course, this show is a good example of why you need to head over to grimerica.ca/support or grimerica.ca/Patreon or grimerica.ca/Stripe and sign up for a monthly or a yearly or do a one-time donation or do something, because I mean, if we had advertisers and stuff like that, they wouldn't appreciate content like this. And, you know, YouTube doesn't appreciate content like this. And lots of people don't appreciate content like this. And we know you guys do appreciate content like this. So you should support it. GrabAmerica.ca/support. Keep us keeping on.
Yep.
Other than that, do everything in the show notes. Anything else?
That's it.
That's it,
Thanks,
guys.
buddy.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
And thanks to all the live people as well.
Yeah.
Join us again.
Thanks,
Another long night.
guys.
Are we coming back for an intro or what are we doing? Okay.
Oh,
Well,
yeah,
that's
we'll
good
be
to know.
back for an intro. Oh, that was only if someone super chatted $20.
You gonna wait
Yeah.
for the intro or
Right now?
no? You're gonna wait for the intro to play the digital.
Oh, I'll just get it. Fuck it.
Oh, you're getting it now.
We still live?
Darren's got dry mouth. He can't do the do. Oh, that's gross. Thanks. Right at me, dude. Oh, it smells in here now.
We have to hang up before we do the intro, Brody?
We don't have to, no.
Okay, are you ready, Graham?
Well, not really. I mean, I do need a few minutes.
Didn't change the name. Did I change
I
it?
don't think you can. Like, if you do,
Oh yeah, that's okay. It's fine.
hit stop. Put it up and
That's all good. All good.
I don't know if I can find that email then now. Hmm.
3,250 views and 31 likes on Bell Bigtree. Remember the first vaccine episode we did? How much hate you got?
I didn't get a lot of hate, did I? I don't think so.
No, we just got it on a couple of postings. We didn't have a lot of listeners. But the first time we did, there was pushback. Yeah, these days don't have
I think that probably would have had to have been from like people like
any of that. Yeah.
we grew up in a different time. Like there's no way my parents would have agreed to fucking 70. Like no fucking way. My dad would.
Oh, I think I might have found it.
On the missing email?
Yeah. I'm not sure though, but let's see here. Oh, this is perfect timing. Okay. That's awesome.
Good draw.
Yeah, I'll wing it, dude.
Wing it? You're still on wing it? They give you a few more minutes if you want.
No, it's okay. I got a couple emails to read. That's about it. That's good enough.
I don't know. That's good enough. Is that where we're at?
I do think it's probably
Grimerica. It's good enough.
fire people for saying
What's that?
we used to fire people for saying shit like that at work.
Like what?
It's good enough.
Yeah.
Because it's usually not, you know? Like it's gotta be as good as you can make it. Shepherd's gotta have
Maybe off 1/30th. But I can stop that if you want to just hit.
no, I'm just thinking
Oh.
like the people on there. I could stick around for another half hour. Although as the night goes on,
Yeah, that's right. I agree.
What I'm trying to do as well is keep it related to the episode a little bit. What I mean?
Yeah.
I don't fucking care. Oh, sorry. I'm talking to my iPad, not you. I don't have enough fucking storage to open my email app.
I don't think your phone can even get that.
Your tablet doesn't have enough storage?
I had 28 gigs in there. Oh, yeah. Del Bigtree, not doctor.
Mm,
He's a medical journalist, TV producer.
red.
Comments you read before that.
Oh yeah, well yeah, that'll happen for sure. Yeah.
Was he even
Yep.
Get out a pen and paper.
Yeah, I don't notice those things either.
I don't see color.
Well, I mean, like if he was black. I
You
would've
guys are
noticed that.
fucking dorks.
If he was black, I would have noticed that. But like Puerto Rican, white, like. Notice.
Oh, Brody.
You don't agree?
No comment. Ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Right on.
Yeah.
Del Bigtree.
That's right. Yeah.
We are up against it. Out of content. Okay, guys, welcome back to the Grimerica Show. We are going to be chatting with Del Bigtree a little bit later. Vaccines, all that fun stuff. Yeah, it's a good one.
Great chat.
Great chat. We actually just recorded earlier tonight. We were out of content over here in Grimerica. So good thing we did a double tonight. We'll be here till midnight, but that's okay. Of course, we got Graham. I built myself a bird's nest Dunlop. How's it going, buddy?
What does that mean? Oh, in the studio
Yeah.
here?
I sent some pictures in the chats of all the new
The new sound
all the new
soundproofing,
soundproofing, which we got from free. My buddy Jimbo.
from free. Yeah.
I'll leave it at Jim. I had a job site with some leftover stuff, and he gave us all this acoustic paneling, which is amazing. We've got it everywhere. I posted some pictures in the chats, and someone said it looks like a nest that we've built. So,
Yeah.
And now that I look at it, it does seem very nesty.
It's a little
cozy.
cozier. Yeah.
Yeah, I can yell a little. I could sing, and we have hopefully the audio is a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah. We scrambled around setting all these panels up. We even have some on the table to try and make the audio a little better. So, hopefully we will. Hopefully it's a win. How's it going, buddy?
I'm okay. Yeah, I've been thinking about the listeners and the supporters a lot lately.
Have you?
Super grateful. Like,
Yeah.
you know, that when I think back to when we started this and how we have people donate. Remember we talked about the donate. I remember talking to somebody at one of the symposiums. They're like, do you donate to shows? And I'm like, yeah, I do donate to shows that I like. Like, because remember they were talking about the monetary model and all that.
Yeah.
This is like 5 years ago now, probably. And just to see where it's coming, that people actually will donate if they like it. And I just felt super grateful for all the supporters that we have, and that we're able to finally get into our own space here.
We made
and,
rent.
Made rent.
2 months in a row, we made rent.
Yeah.
It was close, but
And you
we
know, we
made it.
can't do this without people's support. Like we, you know, not like we're doing it anyways.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, no, we couldn't do it without you guys. 100%. Without you guys, we couldn't do shows like this.
Like, how do we have chats like this about vaccines? Really polarizing topics in a nice way. Like, you know, and he wasn't dogmatic at all about it. It's all about the science.
Mm-hmm.
Laid it out very well. But we'll still get, you know, they still won't want this on platforms. I mean, you can't, you know, the hate for this guy and what he's doing is unbelievable on the internet. This is one of those third rail topics. So we couldn't even do this if we didn't have people supporting it. Like, there's no way.
No. People like you are the best. And if you're not supporting it, we get it. You know, a lot of times it's just a matter of getting it done. You know, it takes the energy. You have to be in the moment. You have to have your credit card out or whatever. You have to go to grimerica.ca/support. You have to punch in your number. Maybe you have to make a PayPal account.
Yeah.
I mean, this
Or
is
Patreon.
This is a
Or
pain.
Stripe.
Yeah, this is a pain in the ass. I get it. I mean, I got to drag my ass in here every Wednesday after work, sit in the studio for 6 hours and make a podcast that I can edit together on my Friday night so I can release it to the people on Saturday so that they can listen to it. Yeah, that's a pain in the ass too. Just saying.
No, but it's
It's fun.
We're really grateful
We're
for
grateful for
to be able to do this, to have
We're grateful
conversations
for the
with
1% that
people
support
that
the
we
99.
want to have conversations with. You know,
Yeah.
nobody's telling us and the listeners have suggested a bunch of people, and those are some of the best shows we've done.
Well, you've tried to take the show on a crazy little steer a couple times, but luckily we've kept her on track.
Yeah, yeah. But we did try. We are trying to get above 1%. 1% of the people that donate. Some shows, they trick you into donating. We don't do that yet. So we're trying to get up organically past 1%. Maybe to 2%, 3%.
We'll start with one.
Yeah.
We'll start with one.
Yeah.
It helps.
I got an email about support.
Grimerica.ca/support. Yeah, I don't have a jingle because I have the physical mail jingle queued up that I don't have on the jingle board yet because I don't know.
Oh, you got some physical mail
don't
there
have a
too.
good
You got
excuse.
that? You got that mail I brought
Yeah, do
from
you want
the
to do
PO
that
box?
first? Let's do that first.
No. We can
All right.
let's keep going on the show
All
here.
right, you go.
On the support. So I got this email from the Gnosis Seeker. If I've read this, just tell me. I'm having a hard time recycling my old emails. Actually, I am feeling better without the wheat and
I
sugar.
know. You look
I
better. You
remember-
look great. I think, another couple weeks I might be able to pull out beefcake again. It's been a couple of years I've had to keep beefcake on the shelf because
What
you
do
let
you mean,
yourself
man?
slide. You get all
It's too
excited.
big for beefcake?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you're getting a little chubby.
Jesus.
I didn't want to say anything.
It's been a productive month, and I think some of that's got to do with the sugar and wheat
Yeah, there you go.
and the full moon in 2019. And
I told you. Did you do your 2019 vision board?
no, I did the meditation for the full moon there.
Okay. I did a vision board.
That's good.
Okay.
I've
That is
done it
good.
before, kind of.
Before? I do one every year.
That's
Actually, I
good.
did one for 2 years.
That's
Did I do
good.
one? Yeah. Well, I mean, Lisa gets me to do it with her. It wasn't for her. I wouldn't. But it's amazing when you look back at the last one. It's crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Is that part of your process for the 2019 vision board? Is to look back at the old one?
No. No.
No.
Not really. That's a good idea, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good
exactly.
idea.
Yeah, kind of prime you for the new
I'll
one.
take it under advisement.
Yeah, good. We
So-
people in the chat saw where you're going this weekend, or what podcast you've been subscribing to.
Well, no, not the people
On
in the
behalf
chats.
of Grimerica?
What? That's a. Who knew it would email all the patrons of Grimerica if I decided to patron something?
Is that a new thing? Like
I don't
that's a
know,
little
but that's
crazy.
dangerous.
Yeah,
What if I
especially that it was
What if
that
I
podcast.
went? What if I went and supported some
like Red Ice Radio or
alt-right
something?
fucking outfit, like and then ding, 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 ding,
And then
email
everybody's
the-
like, go. See, it's probably a new thing. Then everybody like takes away their patronage.
yeah, what's that foreplay
Creates-
radio? Because I
creates-
listen to it, I enjoy it, and I think it's criminal that more people don't listen to that show. If you're married or in a long-term relationship, I think it's worth a listen.
Sex with Emily's good too.
Well, I haven't heard that one yet. I'm actually going to try and get them on, do a swap cast with them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that'd be
I
cool.
became a patron of them and then emailed all
Well-
the patrons. And then one of our patrons decided he would post it in the chats. So
Thanks, Grim.
thanks, Grim. Thanks. Bill did too. So thanks, Grim and Bill. But yeah, so this is one of those rare instances where we're doing the intro for the guest right after the interview for the guest. So everything's nice and fresh.
If I've read this, let me know. So Darren and Graham, I've been a listener of your show since I heard you on the Higher Side Chats, February 9th, 2018.
Almost a year ago.
Almost a year ago. I was not aware of your program until then, and I'm going through the back catalog of your shows on my daily commute to work. I find the range of guests and topics amazing. You guys are willing to have any viewpoints on your show from what I can tell through the back catalog. Let's just say my backlog of books to read getting higher as I write. One thing I love about your show, other than the great intros and guests, is the value for value model. I love it that you don't have ads in your show, since I have other podcasts and I listen to them and have them embedded in the programming. I can handle a little, but when you have like 5 minutes of them, I find that too much. I, for one, are not a fan of ads, and I go out of my way to get rid of them as much as I can when I'm on the net, through app purchases that remove them, blocking scripts and other programs. I do not need someone telling me what to get and why, as well as they can become a vector of malware, spyware, grayware, and the like if their services get compromised. I think I did read this, but anyway, it's good. I'll read it again. Okay, that's good to know. Once I get the furlough, I'm underlifted. I'm going to support you through Stripe in a monthly donation. I learned so much by listening to your show, as well as expanding
Wait,
my
what?
views.
What's the date on that email?
Oh, I don't know. Oh, January 10th. It's a little old.
January. So I thought you said 2018.
No, he found us in 2018.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah.
we weren't on fucking Stripe in 2018.
No. He found us in 2018. I learned so much by listening to your show, as well as expanding my views on a lot of topics, and want to show support to the show with all the work and effort you guys put in to provide quality programming for free. I'm not sure what the laws in Canada are with this, but you should look at creating an Amazon wish list where fans can help keep your equipment, hardware, software, and items for your new space updated, and could help with the overhead of your operation. If this is not doable, maybe fans can ship items to the P.O. box to help with updates. Just a thought. Keep up the great work you do, James from Iowa.
I think we have a wish list.
Do we? That's a great
And
idea.
then I
though.
found out that other people could populate stuff on it. And then I went and looked at it, and there was like a couple of RCMP Mountie costumes on
No
there and
way.
a blow up sex doll.
Really?
Yeah.
That would be okay.
The Mountie costumes? Or the sex doll.
Had to dress up as Nazis.
We could do a
And then use the blow up sex
Yeah.
doll. Is that like all the same person, or
You know what? I should start doing little GoFundMe's to like, well, dress Graham up as a pirate for $500. We could
pirate?
pull,
I've been a
we
pirate.
could pull
for
I
Halloween.
know.
I
you've
could dress
been
myself
everything.
up as a
When
pirate.
you've been 50 Halloweens, you had a chance to do everything.
I haven't
we could-
participated lately.
We could do a Frodo week. Yeah, I got it. We'll start pimping you out with Halloween costumes. People love it. There'll be a lot to cost extra if the calves are exposed. Good stuff. Marketing on the fly. Here we go.
Get out a pen and paper and write this down. Or a pencil. Why don't you send some physical mail to the Grimerica Show? At P.O. Box 16033. Next line. 100-815, comma, 17th Avenue, SW. Next line. Calgary, Alberta. Next line. Canada. Next line. T2T space 5H7. That's the P.O. Box. Why don't you send Darren some dirty socks? Cause he's got a dirty sock fetish.
A couple people asked if we were going to get rid of the P.O. box now that we have a space. And the answer is no, we're not going to tell you motherfuckers where we are.
That's a good point. Not only that, but I think we're too far.
Boom! Mercedes through the wall. Grambo taken out.
Yeah.
It's too risky.
It's a brick wall, though. That might
Ooh, I
protect
could
me a
drive
little
my
bit.
truck right through that motherfucker.
Really?
The bricks will just fall on your ass. Anyway, do you have an email on this? I thought you said you did.
Oh, it's not ready. It's an old one. You've been communicating with this guy. He's on Team Darren now, so
Anyway, Amazon Associates, they actually today they sent us our last $9. Our total $9 we made since I reinstituted the program, and that was our farewell because we're not eligible for the program because of lack of original content.
whoa, what does that mean?
I think it's because they go by the show notes and there's so many links in it. So the show notes are too thorough, and plus there's a copy paste in the show notes. We have that generic part.
What?
I think that's got something to do with
It's
it.
just an algorithm.
Yeah, it's just an
stupid thing.
algorithm,
Oh, the
yeah.
algos are so
Yeah, it's
dumb.
like-
I mean, they really don't know what
you can
the
have
fuck's going
1,000
on.
hours of original fucking podcast content, not original.
But we don't want to do that fucking
Nah,
sponsors, corporate sponsorship anyways.
Yeah, exactly. It was the last thing to push it off the edge.
Yeah.
So anyway, where's
So what are you going to buy with it? Does it just get transferred to our
I
Amazon
don't know what
account or
happens.
something?
I don't know what happens to it. They said they sent it to us. I should actually look into that, where they sent it.
Yeah, let's get a book for the studio.
Ooh, that'd be good. Yeah, it probably does. It does. It goes into Amazon. What's it called?
Amazon Prime.
Pick a book. Okay, where are we? So I got an email. You know what? It was actually yesterday. Hey, Darren, it's your supporter Amsterdam here. I just wanted to let you know there's a T-shirt from QWERTY underway to the P.O. box. I wanted to make sure this time you'll know who ordered a T-shirt for one of you. I hope it fits and you like it. I love your show, so keep up the great work. Greetings. AKA Amsterdam. We got a shirt here. Assuming it's a shirt. What kind of shirt you think it is? You said you thought you knew. Do you want to guess?
It's got probably mushrooms or something on it. Paraphernalia, psychedelics, Sasquatch.
Hide and seek world champion.
Oh, awesome! So you got another shirt coming, I guess, too, because I know of another one that's on way for you.
For me? Really?
What's with
Don't
the
point
Team
at me.
Darren
Why are you
shirts?
pointing at me? I know that's a couple Team Darrens lately, eh?
Oh,
shit. Well, that's a test, eh?
Yeah,
They throw
sugar,
fucking
sugar.
they throw candy in with a couple of guys that are trying to get off sugar. Let's see how long we can keep that on the
No,
table.
no. I'm gonna hack this right now. Get it out of my sight. That's not
Brody.
fit.
Let's see how long it lasts on the table. Thank you very much for the shirt, Amsterdam. I love it. I'll wear it this weekend.
You're gonna wear that to your couples retreat, the Sasquatch hide and seek champion shirt. Actually, if you guys are in the woods, maybe that's a good.
Do you think this is the right one? Maybe this one isn't for me.
Yeah, that's probably.
Do you think it's a possibility that it's the wrong shirt?
Well, it's to us. Then here, I'll take it. Is it large? Is it extra large?
It's not gonna fit you. It's we got it in it large.
Yeah, that'll fit.
That's fine. I'm keeping it. Brown looks good on me. All right.
Okay, here's the email I've been saving up.
Ooh, this will be a good one. Probably just read it last week.
Yeah. So this is another one from maybe part of the UK posse. Greetings from the UK. I'm one of the strange dudes trawling through your back catalog one episode at a time.
They are kind of like a different breed, eh? The back catalogers.
No, because he hasn't listened to one of the recent ones. Like I personally can't do that with a podcast feed. If I was going to hit a podcast feed from the start, I'd probably pick the latest and then start cherry picking my way throughout, or maybe go down in reverse chronological order.
I have to start at number 1.
Oh my God!
Producer Brody there, if you couldn't hear, said he's a start at number 1 guy. Ooh, these guys are gonna fight yet.
So he says, he's going one episode at a time without listening to any of the recent ones yet. You helped me on my 27-mile cycle round trip to work each day. I discovered you through THC. Oh, that's weird. Another one. In February. Oh, that's like the other guy was THC in February when we were on there.
Huh. Well, yeah, that's when we were on THC. Yeah. Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, but I picked 2 emails.
What a synchronicity. They both found us on THC in February. That same month we were on THC.
It was 2 emails on the same day. Same episode. And was hooked by Darren's passion about vaccines.
Oh, I'll give you that.
Now it's compound.
It's compounded from 0 back to 1.
Hopefully, okay, now this is a little bit crazy because the reason I picked this and I had a hard time finding it, and he says at the end, I'll keep going here. I'm up to about episode 252, The Return of Charles Ortel, and I have no problem with the political views. You guys do what the hell you want. F the haters. I've noticed a marked increase in production quality, and I'm glad to see you have stopped the musical interludes mid-interview.
Oh, yeah, that was nice, yeah.
Yeah.
The production goes down again for a while. Heads up. Oh, he's not going to hear this till it's too late.
Well, yeah.
The value goes down. People stop supporting. Thing is, when the value goes back up, they don't start supporting it. Actually, you know what? I'll wait till you're done.
Okay. I always chuckle at Graham's strangled. No, come on. Really? Reaction to the chemtrail jingle. So I hope that's still a thing. I hope Darren has just played it. And a shout out to Felix.
Graham is an all-in believer in chemtrails.
And a shout out to Felix. That dude is seriously talented. I tune in for the intro banter and stay on for about 90% of the interviews. My final point is to call to a financial arms to all non-donating listeners. The boys always say if everyone donated $1 a month, they would be laughing. So donate $1 a month, you cheap bastards. That's 89 pence in the UK. This is a podcast we cannot lose. If this gets read out on the show, I should hear it in late January at my current pace.
Oh, today's the 30th. Did you save it for this?
No,
you said you've been hanging on to this, so I don't know where
but I haven't looked in a long time, and I decided tonight to look for it.
Okay.
And it happens to be the last.
You can see why I'm suspect with your little compound synchro. It's like, what are the chances? It's vaccines. It's the same as the last.
It's all. I remember I was looking for the email, and I didn't think I'd be able to find it. I thought maybe I've lost it.
Because you've had it put away for the end of the month.
No, for months and months I've had it put away. I hope you had a good New Year and survived the winter. Out, Simon.
You've had it put away for months?
Yeah, man. Since like November 4th.
You said, I hope you had a good New Year. Oh, because he's not going to hear this. Until
exactly.
Wow. This guy's right into himself in the future. That's fucking crazy. Jesus. What's
with
his
the
name?
synchro, with the THC, the same as email, the vaccines, which
All
he's
right, I'll
gonna.
give him a 6. And he didn't even send in a synchro.
Yeah, that's pretty good. It turned into a synchro. I love it.
What's his name?
Simon.
Thanks, Simon. Simon support.
Hashtag UK Posse.
Hashtag UK Posse. Actually, there was a thing going on in this. We got like 3 or 4 super chats tonight that were all like hashtag paying the rent.
Oh, that's
That
good.
should be. That's a good hashtag.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else you got?
I got the UFO quotes of the week.
Ugh. You got anything else before that? Ah, fuck. Get it over with. Then I'm gonna go to the socials.
It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
I can.
Words to ponder and critique. It's a profound UFO quote of the week.
I can also read another email instead, but I guess I'll do the
I'll do the quote, then do your email, and then I'll do the social.
pilot of
We
helicopters.
already got support out of the way, right?
Wished to stress fact. The object was of saucer-like nature.
Stress the fact or just fact?
I'm just reading what it says. The stress fact. Maybe they didn't use the in this context back in 1954.
Maybe he had a typewriter, so it wasn't so easy to just go back and insert it when they realized that they missed it and hope that people read it. They would just, pop that in for them.
And it was stationary at 2,000 feet. And would be glad to be called upon to verify any statements and act as witness. Yeah, that's weird. That was an emergency report from Maxwell Air Force Base on airspace violation by UFO in 1954.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Where's that?
I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure where Maxwell is.
Okay.
Want me to read another one?
No.
You can expedite the end of this, and we can get into Charlie
You keep
Robinson's
saying
book.
there's more. There's an end. You keep saying there's an end.
I know. I found a couple more
I'm just
in the bottom.
All right.
I believe in the so-called flying saucer, and it is my understanding that the Air Force will pursue studies on this subject. That was Commander Adolfo Alvarez, 1968, Argentinian Defense.
Interesting. So I'm just gonna type. I'm gonna do my counter quote.
We heard the material was coming to Wright Field. It was brought into our material evaluation labs. I don't know how it arrived, but the boys who tested it said it was very unusual. That's Brigadier General Arthur E. Exon. Obviously about Roswell.
Obviously. I'll give you the quote of the day for January 30th.
I love the Brody's little giggle from the back.
People don't notice whether it's winter or summer when they're happy. Yeah, if it's minus 50, you notice.
I agree with that in general.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
You would. Anyway.
I do have an old email about the Wikipedia of Mike Adams, the health ranger.
Yeah.
And this kind of fits with the topic of vaccines and the sort of attacks and disinformation on anybody who claims something different to the supposed scientific paradigm. So that would include natural health and stuff. So this is from let me see, Whitney. Can I say his name? This is from Whitney.
You'd said his name.
I'm listening to your show right now with Charlie Robinson. And after you guys talked about Mike Adams from Natural News being shut down on YouTube, I looked online for details. I clicked on the Wikipedia page about Mike and thought it might be an interesting thing for you to read the intro on an upcoming episode because Wikipedia is so blatantly corrupt and misleading, as you know, but to the point of humor. The Wikipedia page describing holistic medicine is also fucking hilarious. Natural News, formerly News Target, which is now a separate sister site, is a website for the sale of various dietary supplements, promotion of alternative medicine, controversial nutrition, and health claims, scientific fake news, and various conspiracy theories such as chemtrails and chebphobic claims, including the purported dangers of fluoride in drinking water, antiperspirants, laundry detergent, monosodium glutamate, aspartame. and purported health problems caused by allergic or allegedly toxic ingredients in vaccines.
Crazy.
Crazy conspiracies, including the now discredited link to autism. How perfect is that for this show?
About to be-
Really? This is
The soon to be recredited.
It also has spread conspiracy theories about the Zika virus, allegedly being spread by genetically modified mosquitoes, and purported adverse effects of genetically modified crops, as well as the farming practices associated with the foods derived from them. The site's founder, Mike Adams, was the subject of controversy after posting a blog entry implying a call for violence against proponents of GMO foods, and then allegedly creating another website with a list of names of alleged supporters. He has been accused of using pseudoscience to sell his lies. Adams has described vaccines as medical child abuse. Characterized as a conspiracy-minded alternative medicine website, Natural News has approximately 7 million unique visitors per month. Anyway, the last thing I'll say, this is back to his email. Anyway, last thing I say is I've been obsessed with your podcast for the last decade. Well, with podcasts, not ours. But never contributed to them because I suck. Yours is the first podcast I've ever supported monetarily, and you've totally changed my mind about why we should be supporting amazing shows, especially ones spreading truth. Because in addition to taking time and effort and dedication, this kind of work obviously comes at a cost to you. Thanks so much, Whitney. In brackets, from Seattle, the fake progressive city, but at least we have Zach Haller, the shirtless pundit.
And Cyrus. And Crazy Ryan. Billy.
Wow, that turned out to be quite a synchronous email as well.
You and your synchros.
And it
Synchros
was a
up
great email.
bound,
Thanks a
baby.
lot, Whitney.
Thanks, Whitney.
Bingo, bango, social media jingle. Don't forget to rate, comment, and or subscribe to the Grimerica.
I'm going to have this in my head now.
Letter. Yeah. So, our buddy Addy Harvey, he was the guy who chewed us up about the audio content and the loss of value. Came back yesterday, said, credit where it's due. Seeing as I was quick to criticize, the intro/mini interview on the Michael Wan episode was really great. Keep that kind of stuff up and force me to subscribe.
Wow.
Yeah.
We have a what do you call it? A thing?
A thing?
Yeah.
With what?
Turning people around like that.
Turning around the haters. Now we'll do one more here from Gunry. Greetings. I stumbled on you guys after hearing you on the Occulture podcast, where I had my podcast virginity popped. Started listening to you about 3 months ago, and I am 258 episodes deep. Was planning on donating once I caught up to you guys in what I predict will be 3 or 4 months' time.
Come on.
How long have I got until the 1,111 names are reached? Lots of love from down under, brothers. Keep up the good work.
I thought maybe that was the same guy that emailed me.
The 1,111, you've probably got about 3 years at current rates. No,
When was that email sent?
that was just like yesterday, I think.
Oh, okay.
Something like
I'm
that.
trying to link things together here.
You're trying
to find patterns
You're
in
in
the
fucking
matrix.
synchro mode here. You're just looking for synchros all over this place. You see, that's what I'm talking about. That's dangerous. You're in a dangerous
I'm
place. right now.
joking. I'm not really, I'm not really that deep into it.
Here on the Michael Wan episode, can you post the pics of the UFO from the ranch? I heard you mention it a few times, but I wasn't sure where to find them. That's a good point. You think you can get the pictures from Jason?
Yep.
We could post them someplace. I
Yep.
don't know
I'll
where.
put them on
Put
Instagram.
them on the Instagram.
Yeah.
You got to get on the Instagram. Bill Nye is a Monsanto employee.
That's about good then. If you don't have any left,
Well, I'm just trying to skip the. Oh, hey Darren, would you shoot
skip
a
the
unicorn?
trolling.
Might get rainbow meat. I would. I would. With a raven is a good sign of intention and magical doors opening.
Raven.
Remember we had the whatever the. Actually, it wasn't a raven. What did it end up being?
The crow.
The crow.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a crow. It was something else.
It was in that family though. A rook.
A rook.
Right.
Yeah, that's right. Interesting. We should get a bird in here. Some sort of a bird.
No, no, a bird. And then Brody, I hate birds. That bird's not gonna last in here.
Is he dead?
He's fucking making noise and interrupting. A cat, maybe.
No.
Can we have a cat here? Just leave it all week?
The studio cat is stuck here for days on end with no human contact. I don't think that's a good idea either. Anything else to get to? It's fucking late.
I think
It's
that's
been a
it.
long
Yep.
day.
Yep. This was a great chat. And it was a fun intro.
Great chat with Del Bigtree. Good one. Support the motherfucker. Grimerica.ca/support. Share the show. All that good stuff.
Yeah, lots of stuff. The chats, like join the chats, man. There's awesome conversations going on in there. You can email stories and sightings and feedback. Leave a voicemail. There's a number in the show notes, or send a text. Check us out on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. There's swag.
Grimerica.ca/redbubble.
Redbubble. Oh, it's not /swag anymore.
That link's broken. I got to fix it.
Is it fixed in the show notes?
It's not fixed in the show notes.
And do we talk about CAC?
We got to talk about CAC. Yeah, 100%. We forgot about that.
Okay.
We got to talk about
Here we
that.
go. So we'll do CAC and then we'll
Get out of here.
we'll get
You
out of here.
start.
So we have Contact at the Cabin. Really, it's just a big meetup over 3 stretches of 3 to 4 days in May over the Canadian long weekend and the American long weekend with Randall Carlson. He's going to do some presentations and take us on a little tour. And I'm probably going to do some CE5 protocols, some star watching. We have a huge property with lots of room in the ginormous cabin and some tenting. And
Yeah, we're starting to plan out some of the locations. We're looking at some Chimney Rock and Mesa Verde's there.
we got people coming from overseas to
We
join
got
us.
people coming from fucking overseas.
And we're going to start spreading the word to other podcasts. So if people want to sign up, they got to do it pretty quick.
Randall's
Because
getting
it's
ready
in
to go on
May.
a couple
This
other
is
shows.
happening. I'm going to be there the whole 10 days. Darren's going to be there for both weekends.
The first
it's filling
weekend
up.
is running out fast.
Yeah.
The first weekend, I think, is out of 10
The first
spots.
weekend. No, the last
weekend. The
Yeah,
last
the-
weekend, I think, is out of 10 spots, if I remember correctly. There's still, or there was maybe 1 tent spot left and a couple of bunk spots. But the first weekend's almost filled up, or the third weekend's almost filled up. The last weekend is almost filled up completely.
Yeah.
There's still spots left in the middle of the week one, and there's still spots left in the first weekend.
So I forgot to tell where it was, I think. It's in Colorado.
It's in Pagosa Springs, Colorado, USA.
It's like 2 hours away from Four Corners.
Yeah, we're close to Four Corners. There'll be some Four Cornering for sure. We're actually only like 4 hours from Albuquerque too.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Albuquerque was way south.
That's 4 hours south.
Oh, I know. I might turn this in like a 2-week vacation. I've always wanted to drive around those areas. Like,
so anyway, the place is if you go to hdtravel.me, or you can also get there through badcomet.com, which is of course a play on Randall's work. There's a ton of pictures here of where we're going and Chimney Rock, and there's a bunch of pictures of the venue, which is a giant multi-bedroom double kitchen, game room, bunk room, all sorts of 122 acres, private lake, all sorts of fun stuff to do there. It's a giant venue. Randall will be at the house. Graham and I will be at the house. All the Grimerica family will be at the house. Everyone's going to be at the house together. We're going to go out. We'll have some buses. We're going to take you guys out, do a tour one day. We're going to go check out some stuff with Randall. He's going to blow you guys away for a little while. The next day, we'll do a little presentation. We'll probably do some live podcasting while we're down there. It's going to be great.
Yep.
It's going to be great. This is going to be one of those things you're going to be sorry you missed. I'm telling you. And I was thinking, I was talking to Micah Hanks yesterday or the day before, And he was saying, he's like, because he did a couple paradigms. He was like, he's like, so many people just want to wait till the last minute, wait till the last minute, wait till the last minute.
And that's understandable. I mean,
I get it. I get it. But
but you can put a down payment down, right?
yeah, you
and
can put a
reserve
deposit,
room, right?
and
You don't have to
reserve
pay the whole
spot,
thing.
so you don't end up missing it. Because I mean, once we open this thing up, like Randall's going on a couple shows here in like a week or two, a couple other shows with some fairly big audiences to talk about this. So I mean, it's feasible that this thing could I mean, when you talk about it, it's a third sold out. The other third is only 50 spots. So a couple busy days or a busy week, and those could be cut in half. Doesn't take long to sell 25 spots or.
Yeah, it's not a big thing. It's
not
an
a big
intimate
thing,
event,
and there's a very limited seating. And once it's gone, it's gone. There's no, we can't add any more seats. It's 25 seats per group, and that's it. So, badcomet.com, check it out, have a look. Everything you need is there. You can go through it. There's a registration form. There's a bunch of pictures.
Or you could just email Alan directly as well.
Yeah. CAC 2019 at hdtravel.me.
So that's CAC 2019
at hdtravel.me. We're going to have Randall on here right away to talk about it as well.
Again,
Yeah, do a little show with him, and we'll talk about that actual area and all that fun stuff. It's going to be great. You guys are not going to want to miss this. And, yeah. But let's make this a thing so we can keep making it a thing.
Yeah, it would be nice to do something like that every year, really.
Absolutely, with a different guest.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that's about all we got, guys. That's all we got this week. Enjoy the chat with Del Bigtree.
And thanks for your support.
Oh, that's a long one, eh?
Yeah, thanks for the people listening live if they're still there. It's awesome.
Solid fucking 6 hours.
That was fun. That was a great intro. We got to move the carpet in the studio. I might do that this weekend. I'm going to move it that. Would you rather be rolling on the carpet or rolling on the floor?
Rolling on the carpet.
Really?
Yeah.
As long as you're not going.
Because it's not loud then. The carpet will be quieter.
Okay, so I'll push it back into the back corner then. I'll
Okay.
probably move the table away so I have some space back here. 'Cause
Sure.
this is, we've got a big space and I'm jammed in the corner.
I don't know. I can't go far either. Maybe we should put the camera right over us and just go like on ends of the table. Just look at the top of your bald head.
And your bald head?
Mine's receding, not balding. I think
Mine's
it's-
both.
Good point. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in live. We'll see you next week.